It's like there could be a showdown in Washington, D.C. over Obamacare and the possibility of shutting down the government. Now, according to the latest polls, Obamacare is very unpopular with the American people. But if you listen to Democrats, you'd think it was just the Republicans who were crazy for wanting to defund the health care law.
This is playing with fire. Legislative arsonists are at work when they start using the debt limit for their own agenda.
You have never seen in the history of the United States the debt ceiling or the threat of not raising the debt ceiling being used to extort a president or a governing party.
I only hope that the anarchists in the House of Representatives come to their senses before it's too late.
Now, Greg, aren't these members of Congress elected to do what the American people want, and overwhelmingly they don't like the bill? Two of the things they mentioned, extortion and larceny, are crimes. So what's with the language? What's the big deal?
Can I just say I am getting really tired of these showdowns. It's every month it's high noon, and it's never a showdown. It's never a showdown. It ends. It's like this. It's like the argument over the debt ceiling. They treat it like it's a sunroof. Oh, first let's take it down. Let's just decide. Do you want a debt ceiling or not? It's like one of those old stinky sweaters you had, and you're afraid to throw it away. Just throw it away. Enough of this. I'm so tired of these stupid fake showdowns. We know it's all going to be settled, and we're going to talk about something else.
It's like a convertible then.
Yes.
Top down, top up, top
exactly.
down. Okay, gotcha. Dana, there was an editorial in the Washington Post that outlined even if Republicans succeed at this PR strategy and they defund it, Harry Reid can strip the language from the bill, and even if he couldn't do that, President Obama could veto it. So is this a smart strategy?
But even the Senate Republicans have admitted that it's
they
not
won't.
going to happen.
Right.
So
Mitch McConnell's not in favor of this.
It's a false negative that they're trying to prove. And interestingly, last night, I mean, it's probably as cold in the Republican caucus right now as it is in the studio.
I don't know about that. It's pretty cold.
Why am I huddling over this lukewarm waters? Because it's freezing in here, and that is how cold it is on the Republican side.
The American public does not care about your problems, Dana.
Yeah, they do. They do.
They do.
So it's not so much high noon as it's like 11:47, and I think people are pretty tired of it. It just it becomes noise. What's interesting on the Republican side, on the defund Obamacare side, the Senate Republicans, a few of them have, not all of them, a few have been pushing this. Now the House has finally acquiesced. They're going to have a vote on it. 30 minutes after the House announced that, then the Senate Republicans came out and said, oh, but actually we're not going to have to vote on it, and Reid is not going to call it up, and the president would never find it. So we don't have to walk the plank. But you guys charge forward, walk the plank, and it's become a little bit of a farce.
So what do you think they're gaining, Eric, if anything?
Well, they're on record. And it's a fight that
Who's on record?
Well, the people who are fighting it.
Only the House Republicans have to be on record.
Well, they are on record. But you're seeing a little bit of a divide too. Some are saying, go ahead, defund. We're going to take this all the way to the limit if we have to shut down government. There are some who say don't shut down government but still try to defund. Some say go ahead, shut down government. So you're seeing where everyone stands. I will tell you that I think, what is it, 57% of the American public say not in favor of Obamacare. So it's interesting to see who says we're willing to go the distance with it. I think you're seeing people. You're letting them put their cards on the table.
Can I before you get to Bob? This is why Obama has been amazingly successful at creating the divide among his adversaries. He's like the prankster who comes up behind somebody and punches him in the shoulder, and that person thinks it's the other guy behind him because he's done that. Syria, immigration, NSA, he allows the Republicans to cannibalize themselves like they're doing now. And you know they're not going to win this. It's not going to get defunded. So it's actually fun to watch. As a Democrat, it's fun to watch them eat themselves.
I do think there's a risk, Bob, with Republicans doing this. I mean, it's a great PR strategy. It sounds good. In theory, they're standing up to a bill that people don't like. My fear is this. One, legislatively, they can't defund it because President Obama will just veto that bill and he can find the funding on his own. My fear is that Republicans will get blamed for this. This is a fight Democrats want. Why not just let you and your buddies own Obamacare? The thing's so bad and stinky, people will hate it. They can run against it in the midterms. They can win the Senate back and then maybe the White House on it.
Well, first of all, this shows you the difference between reasonable Republicans and the wackos in the Tea Party in the House who are holding all this up. Boehner would love nothing better than not have this. But he's got to deal with these wackos, and so he's got to go along with it. The fact of the matter is it makes the Republicans look bad, and if they do intend to shut down the government, then they'll take the blame for it. Remember the last time they did, they took a terrible beating. Right now, the Republicans are divided, and rightfully so. I think Greg's right. Obama's smart enough to figure out how to do that, and to play with the national debt is like playing with a hydrogen bomb. They have no idea what they're doing.
But no, they do know what they're doing. They don't, honestly, most of the Republicans who you were calling wacko probably realize that they're not going to get what they want. But they still have to put up the fight because it's the right fight. It's the right thing to do. It's what the people want to do. Wackos, Bob, wackos, the ones who care enough that they're willing to risk, as Andrea points out, a bad, I don't know, re-election campaign, have some negative stuff thrown at them, even from fellow Republicans are willing to risk that because they believe in it. They believe in defunding Obamacare. They believe in smaller government. I don't call them wackos, Bob. I call them scrupulous conservatives.
Yeah, well, you call them scrupulous. I call them wackos. Look, why not just elect them as wackos? So therefore, you can do away with it. This is the law of the land. And by the way, if they refuse to fund it, you can take them to court because it is the law of the land and they have to fund the law of the land. I don't think there's anyone at this table who really thinks at the end of the day that Obamacare is going to get defunded. We all know President Obama, look at what he's willing to do in Syria. He was willing to go to Syria with 80% of the public against him, half of his own caucus against him, all the Republicans against him. I would say this guy is willing to do whatever it takes to make himself look good. He will never sign the legislation that would... People who are against World War II?
Bob, you calling people wackos like Jeffrey Dahmer calling people meat eaters.
Really?
Yes, but can I make a point? You should fight government at every possible place where you think you can win. Wherever government tries to intrude where it shouldn't be, the battle should take place. But the battle needs to be smart. I think the smart battle will always be to expend your energy, the Republicans should expend their energy on the IRS, which is the enforcement arm of Obamacare. They're the ones that are going to make this thing happen, and they're the ones that targeted their political adversaries illegally earlier this year. You go after them, you basically castrate them politically, and you force them to change. That's the only way you're going to win this battle.
Dana, right now, President Obama and the Democrats own Obamacare. I mean, it's called Obamacare. If Republicans get in the way and a president has the bully pulpit, which you're very familiar with, he can use that bully pulpit. If Republicans try to slow it down, any problem, he can say it's their fault. They did this, and then they own this partially. Is that a risk with Republicans doing that?
It's possible. I think that this particular blip will be forgotten, and it'll be all just in the soup, which is probably going to be a banned phrase by the end of the show. The interesting thing is, by the end of last week, they had Republicans working together on all sides, had the delay portion of a possible vote really in their favor. Because you had the unions come out. Remember, they had that meeting last week with the President Obama. They came out. They did not get what they wanted. They were actually on the cusp of being able to get a delay. I don't know if they'll be able to do that. I do have a question about the strategy. So you have Senator Mitch McConnell of Kentucky who, look, like him or not like him, he's in a tough fight. Any leader at that level, like Tom Daschle, had a very tough re-election fight. The Defund Obamacare people spent $350,000 in 1 week in ads in Kentucky against Senator McConnell on a vote, on a vote that they knew was not going to happen, on an issue they know that the president is not going to ever have to, that the president will turn back on them. At $350,000, it's a lot of money to spend on a state like Kentucky.
I think
you think spending that kind of money against a Republican is smart?
Calling out Republicans who are not on board with the program of smaller government and standing up for it and having
but they're admitting that it's not going to happen.
Wait,
so why spend money against?
Do you really want people to call them out, Eric?
Yeah.
All right. How about Eric Bowling?
What? Go ahead. What do you got?
What are you saying? Are you saying that the Republicans are more like the Tea Party than they are about like Mitch McConnell?
No, but see, this is the problem with that argument.
I need to point this out.
You're making a false argument. argument, though.
Stop.
No, you're saying
Greg
that Republicans who don't like this. All right, yeah, I would rather hear what Greg has to say.
Yesterday, after the show or in the break, you said, "Do you think it's going to get defunded?" I said, "No, I wish they would move on, but I think the fight needs to be fought."
Yeah.
I believe.
That's not what you said.
What I said?
No, you said you thought it was a bad strategy and that they shouldn't do it and that they should move on. Yes, you did. It was right here in the commercial break.
I said I don't think they can win, is what I said.
Right, which is why you said it was a bad strategy. And then I said, I can't believe you and I agree on this. And you said, well, yeah, we do. That was in the commercial.